Welcome to the Spirit-Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Hello there. Welcome back to Spirit-Centered Business. I am here again with Mark Scherer, and this is the part 2 of the second time that he's been on the show with me. If you missed part 1, just go to spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and if you missed the first time he was on, it's also there. So, Mark, thank you so much for spending so much time with us. I just love that you bring so much depth and a change of mindset and the change of looking at things. I love that you bring that to the table, and I love to share you and Encompass Life and Michelle and everything that you do. I love to share you to the world because you're doing some amazing healing out there. And in the first time we talked about some emotional healing, and I'd really want to focus on like physical healing that you've seen because of the work that you do.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for having me back on too. I love playing with you. So fun.
So good.
Yeah. And you were mentioning specifically the class we do called Body Electronics. Is that,
Yeah,
you talk about that?
sure.
Yeah, and we're talking about emotional healing and physical healing, but really it's the same thing. It's when
Because
if,
we're multidimensional, it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're in scripture it says anger will rot in the bones, right? Will rot the bones, right? So that anger has a physical reflection in the body. So the body is just merely letting me know that the person has something going on in their emotional world that they've been in denial over for a long time. And now it's finally showing up in the body to go, get my attention. Get my attention. Yo, over here. Yo, Adrian, over here, man.
Right?
So it's getting your attention in a way that's going to propel you in your spiritual growth.
That's good.
And most people try to get away from the pain and hate the pain. And I think I may have shared a little bit of stuff with you, but there was a time where I couldn't walk. I had ruptured disc in my back, and it would take me 30 minutes to crawl from my bed to my bathroom to stand up to pee.
Wow.
And I couldn't crawl on all fours. I crawled on my belly.
Oh.
So, and it was the most cleansing thing. It was so cleansing once as I began to come out of it.
Tell me more.
Yeah. So the pain had taken over my psyche. Basically, everything was about pain. All I could see, all I could feel was just pain.
I know that feeling. Yeah, definitely.
And as I began to come out of it, I started to notice, wow, I got room up here. What am I going to let back in? What thoughts am I going to let back in? What feelings am I going to let back in? I remember when I was able to go to the bathroom to stand up to pee, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful I can stand up,
Yeah.
just walk into the bathroom and stand up. It was so, it was great. It was wonderful. So it had me really become appreciative of some of the little things I had taken for granted. At that time, I mentioned that I had a sailboat. I'd manifested a lot of things. I had couple of ranches and a sailboat and a bay boat and big house and all kind of really cool things. I still wasn't happy. It still wasn't enough. I still wasn't grateful. And so that's when I had the embezzlement of my company and all that stuff. And I got in an accident and injured my back, ruptured some disc in my back and all that. So I had all that stuff come up as like a perfect storm. And I mean, I hated life, hated God. Whatever you say about life whatever I was saying about life was really my relationship to God. No matter what I thought I said about God, but that's the thing. Whatever you're saying about life is your relationship to God. Period.
Wow, that's a really good analogy or comparison.
I work with people and go, I love God. How's your life going? It sucks. Well, then God sucks for you. No. God's great, but look, my life sucks. No, God is life. God is love. God is truth. And people don't want to admit that stuff, but you got to get real so you can shift it. So, and the healings I've seen, plenty. One of our clients came, she was going to get her gallbladder removed. She did I think she did one class with Michelle, the basics, and she goes back to the doctor and goes, your gallbladder is perfectly healthy.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, come back to what did you do to relieve your pain of your ruptured disc and how you healed there? So we need to complete that loop.
Complete that.
Okay.
So I'll tell you where it started. When I was probably 12 or 13 years old, I started having back issues. At age 12 or 13 years old, my mother became like, she had a nervous breakdown, and the mother I knew up to that point was gone, and a new mother was basically in place. And schizophrenic, um, could come in the room, yell at me, walk out of the room, come back in the room a couple minutes later, go, oh, hey, son, how you doing today? Not even knowing what she just did. So it's
Mm.
really, really, really a bizarre change.
Mhm.
And my dad didn't really do much about that. He said, you just got to humor her. And I remember I got him in the living room one night, and I said, hey, Dad, I said, there's something really up with Mom. I said, we got to get her some help. I said, she's tearing the family apart and all this nutso stuff. And no, you just humor her. It's okay. And I remember leaving that meeting. It was a big deal for me to confront my dad like that. Big deal. And I remember leaving that meeting and going, I don't have any support here. And
Mm.
I started having back issues.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that totally makes sense. You're back, no
Yeah.
support. Mm.
I remember saying, my parents don't support me. My parents don't support me. I remember saying, you know, I remember telling my parents, I said, I wouldn't treat a dog the way you treat me growing up. That's how much venom and anger I had in me about my parents. My dad was a strong disciplinarian.
Wow.
My mother was schizophrenic, and I blame them for 50 years.
Wow.
Then I quit calling them mom and dad when I was probably 13 years old, and I would get hit for that. And so I had a lot of anger and resentment about not being supported.
Mhm.
So I'd have back injuries. They would somewhat heal. I would work out. I would get things in place and get them somewhat healed, and then something would happen. I'd have another one and another one. And the last one I had was really, really intense. Ruptured a couple of discs in my back and a couple of bulging ones as well, and couldn't walk. I mean, um, so how I started to heal all this stuff was when I started to wake up to what was going on with life, and how me saying I'm not supported had manifested in my body. So I started doing that, and it was interesting. I had a friend of mine, and they were saying, "Man, you need to go to have surgery." And I said, "No." I hadn't done the conscious work to the degree I've done now, but I remember telling them, I said, I'm not really sure what's happening with me, but I know when I heal myself, I'm gonna be able to heal somebody. I'm gonna be able to touch somebody else and heal them."
Wow.
And that was 30 years ago, I guess, probably something like that, maybe now.
Mm.
And shortly after that, a couple of years after that, I found body electronics, and body electronics is a hands-on approach to where we're, I mean, there's coaching involved as well, but there's also just a hand-on approach to
Mhm.
where we're basically rebooting the person's divine blueprint
Mhm.
instead of getting rid of all the lies. Remember, in the previous call, we talked about how all these lies are entrenched in it.
Mm.
Body electronics is like 100 coaching calls, 100 coaching sessions
Wow.
over 4.5 days.
Mhm.
And so I remember the first bioelectronics I attended as an attendee. The imagining thing I was talking about, like I really, really love. Like there was no, when I would say those words, there was no picture that would come up for me. The only thing I could imagine was a variation of of the pain I was living in, and maybe a not so intense level of pain, rather
Mhm.
than what I really, really love, because I still had so much anger, resentment, and hate in me.
Mm-hmm.
So in my first bioelectronics session, we did an endocrine session, which reboots the pineal, pituitary, thymus, thyroid, medulla, and all these endocrine glands that produce chemicals, hormones that we recognize as feelings. Most of the glands, I'll say this, most people have been competing on how crappy they have their life.
That's so true. Oh my gosh, that's so true.
Oh, you think your husband's bad? Let me tell you about your husband. You think
Yeah.
you're having trouble with your kid? Let me tell you. You think you're having money trouble? Let me tell you about my money troubles. And,
Right.
and people are competing on this stuff.
Right. How
Competing.
crazy is that, Mark? How crazy?
You think you're busy? Let me tell you about how busy I am. You think you
Yeah.
don't have time? Let me tell you. I mean, competing on that.
Yeah.
And all I could imagine was stuff based on that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got off the table for my first endocrine session, it was like somebody turned a light on in my consciousness, and I could see.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
another way of explaining it is, if you were going to paint a really, really beautiful, detailed picture, and you had a canvas that was covered with dung and sticks and mud and leaves, and you're going to paint a really finely detailed picture,
Yeah.
no, right? So
Nope.
by my first session in bioelectronics, it cleared the canvas, so I had a clean slate to be able to see and create and paint on.
Uh-huh.
And
Wow.
that was, and that's the best way I can describe it. I just went, oh my God, what just happened? And that was like, wow. I also opened my eyes. I could see, third eye opening up. Imagination and enthusiasm started to come online.
Mm-hmm.
To the degree it did. It's gone way, way up since then, by the way. This isn't a one, it's not like a one and done.
Mm-hmm.
It's a continual, life is a continual unfolding, a continual growth experience. Most people go, well, so if I do this, am I done? No. You can be, if that's what you choose to do, or you
Yeah.
can keep growing. And some people can keep growing without coming back to classes, but get into conversation, keep growing. Um, but life is a continual unfolding, and the best way to really, really master something is to stay a beginner with it.
Oh,
So,
I like that. Yeah.
oh, and I told Michelle, I said, Michelle, if I ever tell you I got it or I understand it, you come kick me in the jewels. I did. And she would gladly do it.
Oh,
So,
jeez.
so but that gives me a mental picture. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a mental picture. If I say this, ooh, I'm gonna be hurt. I'm gonna be hurting. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
be. Michelle will be laughing. So,
She told us she laughs at you when you're down.
oh
I'm like,
yeah, Chef,
yeah,
that was great.
girl.
So here's my decree. I love laughing with Michelle. That's my decree. That's what I love. So if she starts laughing at me, and my decree is I love laughing with Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
then if I resist that, then she's laughing at me. But if I laugh with her, we're both laughing together, and it's over in seconds. I
That's
love
right.
laughing with Michelle. It's so fun. She's hilarious.
She's cool.
So
Yeah.
it makes you take all these things that all these things I've been fighting with and feeling pissed about, and we make it a game. And I'm gonna, this is the first relationship I've been in where we've been with each other for 6 years now, and it keeps getting better every day.
Oh, that's so
Every
sweet.
every day.
Very precious.
Greater levels of trust, greater levels of respect, greater levels of intimacy, greater levels of physicalness. Everything keeps going up.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, like, they get together and go, oh, the magic of getting together, I'd like to go back to that. You can't go back to that, but you can create a future that's brighter than it was back then.
Mm-hmm. So good.
Mhm.
Hey,
So,
you know what? I want to close the loop for the audience on something that you mentioned. You said opening the third eye, and I just want to ground for the audience. if that seems new agey or weird to you, here's the truth is that the Lord created the pineal gland to be open. That he created it to have connection with
God.
right. So this is something that you can do in a natural, like the coming back to original design kind of a way, or you can usurp it and use hallucinogenics or
Mm,
other things that he never intended you to do. So
mm-mm.
I just want to clarify
Yeah,
that
yeah,
for the
yeah,
audience. Yeah.
yeah. And the pineal gland produces the chemicals for imagination and the
Hmm.
chemicals for enthusiasm.
Right.
And 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 to enter the kingdom of heaven, you got to be what? Like a what?
Like a child.
And what are children about? Enthusiasm, enthusiasm, enthusiasm. Even
Childlike wonder,
yeah,
curiosity.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then somehow or another, as we get older and we feel we'll get made wrong or get yelled at for having too much fun as a kid, and we start to acquiesce and go into resignation until people are walking around as a shell of who they really are.
Right.
And so this opens up it produces the pill will begin to produce the chemicals for enthusiasm again, which is your connection to God.
Yep.
And it's not
But
the DMT and the ayahuascas
no.
and all that stuff and all that. No, this is just done by touch and just loving.
Right.
And what it does all this stuff is love.
Hmm. So I'm glad you said done by touch, because there's a lot of practices that use energy healing and touch in a wrong kind of a way, because when you're working with the body, it's all about intention, right?
Yes.
So tell us what body electronic is
Yeah.
and
So
what
there's four sessions in bioelectronics: endocrine, colon, spinal, and cranial.
okay.
Okay. The endocrine system produces the chemicals we recognize as feelings. And if somebody's stuck in somebody who's had a lot of fear in their life, right? And by the way, our world is being controlled by fear.
Exactly. Which
And
is the
they
opposite of God.
right, opposite of God, correct. And people will get stuck in the fear, and that's all they can see is fear, and they're easily programmed. It's like being hypnotized by fear.
Hmm.
And this just goes back to Nazi Germany and how they control the masses with all that stuff as well.
Hmm.
So that's the thymus, and the thymus produces the chemicals for both fear and also the chemicals for courage. But it gets stuck in producing the chemicals for fear because people get acclimated to that drug. Our body is a self-producing drug factory.
Hmm.
And so what bioelectronics does, it reboosts that reboosts that person's endocrine system to where it starts to be able to produce both chemicals again. Instead of being stuck in one and being stuck in that wah, 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 this is all life is. This is it. Are you kidding me? Am I going to run out of money before I die? Am I going to die before I run out of money? Like those types of conversations.
Right.
So it's people anyway. So that's what the endocrine system does. It gets the endocrine system firing up again. The thymus, thyroid, all those things start to come up again. The colon electronics is a lot of kids didn't have a lot of time in arms. I was raised by there's a guy by the name of Dr. Benjamin Spock wrote a book on child rearing,
Oh yeah. I've heard of that.
and my parents read that book, and the book was about if a kid's crying, you leave them cry themselves to sleep. You don't pick them up when they're crying. You'll raise a spoiled kid.
Uh, yeah.
So what he believed would be true, or that's what he wrote anyway. Now the Nazi Germans, they took kids and they put them in incubators, like in a controlled environment. They fed them and did everything to them, everything for them, but they didn't have any human touch. You know what happened to all those kids? Every one of them died.
Yeah.
None of the babies survived.
Oh, none of them did. Wow.
None of them.
I
None of
would
the
think
babies.
that those would be the really hardened criminals if
None
they
of them.
did.
None of them survived without human
Wow.
touch.
Wow.
So what colon electronics does, it reboosts that person's nervous system as if they had nurturing and support and loving and were loved and cherished as a child.
Wow.
and the person will begin to trust life again. They'll go into a state of ease. The nervous system will begin to calm down. Instead of going into sympathetic, they'll go into fight or flight. Parasympathetic instead of being in fight or flight. So when people come through body electronics, most of them say this is the first time they felt ease like this in their entire life. Probably 99% of them. Most of them, it's most likely the first time anyone in your lineage has felt ease to this level.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, people don't even know this as possible. We always talk about what our diseases are, but not how great our ease can be, right? We always focus on what we don't want, competing on what we hate. So this has people begin to, wow, how much love can I have in my life? What does it look like? And it's like, it goes back to the spiritual quote, I will pour you out a blessing greater than your cup can withhold, pressed down and overflowing, right? And every time the cup gets pressed down and overflowing, it seems to run out of people's eyes. You caught that.
I did. That's good, Mark. That's good.
Thank you.
And maybe my nose too. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, maybe your nose, right? There you go. So, and then from there we do spinal electronics, and the spine is about feeling supported. So we work with the spine, that people will begin to trust that life has always been for them rather than life happening to them, that life has actually been happening for them. And they begin to feel, instead of looking for a person for support, they look to God, and it may come through a person. Their support may come through a person as well, but and then they'll thank that person, but they'll also thank God. And thank you, God, for bringing me this through this person. Don't look for the person, go to God, and then God will bring it to you in a lot of different ways, right? So that's what spinal electronics is about. And then cranial electronics is the skull is actually, most people think the skull is solid, but the skull is actually designed to move really, really slow. It has like little small movements in it. And what that's doing is it's a pump that moves cerebral spinal fluid up and down the spine. And this cerebral spinal fluid is like as it moves through the body, it moves away toxins, it moves away, it's basically moving life all the way through the body. When the skull can be really constricted, the more complaints somebody makes in their life, the more constricted the skull becomes.
That makes total sense. Writing that one down.
Yeah. And it would also begin to shrink. And what we do in cranial electronics is there's a couple of manipulations we do and all we're doing is just basically holding some points. And the skull generally changes by about an inch from the tip of the chin to the top of the head, grows. Usually a half an inch from side to side, from temple to temple. And usually the roof of the mouth will move up between maybe 3/8 to a half an inch or more straight up. And what that's doing is there's a little bone inside the skull, and it's called the sphenoid bone. And the pituitary and pineal sit on top of this little bone. It has like a little, looks like a little altar where the pineal and pituitary sit.
Interesting.
And we have a really cool video on that as well about how this actually relates to scriptures. And I'll send it to you.
Wow, cool.
And this bone looks like an owl or an angel, and it has all these beautiful little curves in it. And in most people, it's out of place.
Oh, wow.
And this is an antenna that we can receive information from God from. And most people, it kind of comes in a little garbled. So when you get this antenna set properly, people get information from God, like really, really clear directions. And people may have it covered by chance, but this is where you can just live in it.
Wow.
I've been teaching this for 12 years now, I guess. And I have chiropractors who are doing these cranial adjustments on little kids, like little babies. They do newborns, and what they've noticed is is that the kids who are having trouble nursing, in other words, receiving life, get it, nursing, and when they do the cranial on them, it raises the roof of the mouth. It has the child be able to suckle with their moms and receive that nurturing from
Oh,
mom.
wow. Yeah.
It calms them down.
Wow.
And they're in a state of peace and oneness with God again. So I got numerous chiropractors who are doing this with little newborns, and they're saying this is amazing to do this with the kids.
Nice. Yeah. I've had, well, it's could be similar, sacrocranial work done.
Way different.
Is it different? Oh, okay.
Yeah, way
She
different. Yeah.
held different places on my skull and then just held her hand underneath my back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way different. Yeah, I've had all that. I've had that done as well, and Rolfing and all that was done through the nose and mouth, and this is way different.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff. I'm sure you have as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, our health team, we're getting into some really cool stuff over there. We just learned the hypothalamic reset. And we're getting the muscle testing down. It's a little bit tricky to make sure that you're confident in the muscle testing. So we're still learning, but yeah, it's kind of fun.
We do that as well,
Mm-hmm.
and like to do it where it's like a double blind.
Right. You don't know which way the intention is going, so you don't know if a yes is a what you choose or a no is what you choose. Yeah, that's good. I love that.
Yeah, for the person holding the intention, like you put like some piece of paper with something in their hand with the message in the paper, and then they can, like, no one knows which is which.
Yep. Yeah, that's very, very cool. So you do all of that within the body electronics. It's a 4-day seminar.
4.5 days.
4.5 days.
And it's really it's a 9-week process. There's a
Oh,
month
okay.
there's a month of prep before you get into bioelectronics, because you don't to really get the value out of this class, and I'll say this, most people don't understand that their thoughts are just a channel they're listening to. And in other words, if a person's doing heroin, their thoughts in their head are going to be way different than somebody who's eating really clean and doesn't do any drugs, right?
Sure.
Even the defensive posture of that person, I don't have an issue with drugs, or alcohol, right?
Right.
So what we're doing here is having people really pay attention to their nutrition. We're also working with them on supplements, just like minerals and digestive enzymes and stuff as well. Plus, there's 3 individual coaching call before you ever come to BE, to make sure that the person is ready to be able to do this and get the greatest value out of the class. I've worked with other companies and would have people come to BE, and they were coming to BE and they were like, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? And there's a lot of fear coming into the class. So we do here, people work with 3 different coaches. I'm always the last person that they speak with. And so when they work with 3 different people, their emotional body begins to relax, and most people come into BE really lit up, really enthusiastic. And that's really important. And the nutritional prep is eat as much clean, get off of alcohol, sugar, dairy, really clean your terrain of your body up, and do these minerals, because when a person is stressed out and they have that broken record running in their head, the more stressed out a person becomes, the more minerals their body takes.
Yeah.
Or is depleted. And our soil right now is so depleted of minerals as well. We do monocropping and all that. So when people begin doing the minerals, they're going to start to notice that broken record they're listening to is going to start to lose its volume. So when that broken record starts to lose its volume, the person begins to hear the quiet whisper.
That's so good.
And we've had our minerals tested by people who do live blood cell analysis, and they've used other minerals, and they use ours. They said yours produce the most substantially different results in live blood cell analysis, something we developed over 10 years.
So
So,
is it unique to Encompass Life?
yes, ma'am.
Oh, very cool. I didn't realize you had your own minerals.
Minerals we do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're
And
really,
can people order that off the website as well?
no,
Or is it only
we,
through
you
Bradley?
can call us or send me an email. We'll do it. We will put it up on the website for people to be able to get those.
Okay,
But right now we do them for people who are attending our classes.
I see.
But
And are they produced locally for you there in Florida?
they're produced in Utah,
Oh, okay. All right.
and
Hmm.
they're potent, man. They're potent.
I believe it. Everything you do is potent, Mark.
Thank you. Yeah,
That's
thank
all
you.
good. One
And
last story I want to hear about, if you don't mind.
yeah, let me just do one more thing too, real
Okay,
quick.
go ahead. You
So,
finish.
yep, yeah. So, and BE too. You've heard that something that we do is we call eye talk. We take a picture of your eye
Yes,
before and it.
the
So the eyes with,
iridology.
yeah,
Yeah.
on steroids.
Okay, on steroids. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Wait. I can show you. I can show you a picture of something that made. Um, probably not, right?
Uh, yeah,
No, that's
not now.
not. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Of the changes that should occur in PE.
Mhm.
But anyway, we take a before and after photo, and then you get a one-on-one call with that as well. So here's the changes you made. Now, what are you going to do? And help you take those changes and apply them in your life. And then we do one one group coaching call per week for 4 weeks. So everybody has some accountability partners
Mm.
and to continue their growth.
Mm.
So it's a whole 9 week deal. And people are just, oh my gosh, they're lit up. And so far as healings, so I told you about the lady who had her, who was going to get her gallbladder removed. We
Yeah.
had we had a lady. We've had numerous people come in with on thyroid meds and reduce their go to bioelectronics and reduce their either their meds all the way through or 50, 60, 70, 80% reduction in them.
Wow.
Uh, um,
So good.
what else? Kidney. Um, had a guy come in with low kidney, like almost down into single digits. They were going to go on dialysis, and kidney function went back up to almost 80%.
Wow.
What else? Oh, Steve, the guy I told you about with the cognitive issues.
Mm.
He came to How to Wow, and then 2 weeks later he was in bioelectronics. He's His wife said he went out and changed the oil in the car by himself for the first time in like 9 years. Was able to pull the car up on top of the ramps, do all that stuff himself.
Wow.
He couldn't go out and he could cut the grass, but he would ask her, "Hey, can you come help me? Tell me which way to go and how to cut the grass. I can do it, but you got to help." Like he couldn't cognitively put that into place.
Wow.
I guess how the BE goes back and starts cutting the grass all by himself. I
Yay,
mean,
God. Yay,
oh,
God. That is just, oh, I love to hear those kind of stories.
we had a lady come to class who had been in a motorcycle wreck, and she had severe vertigo, where if she sat in the class and wasn't up against a wall or up against a pillar or something, vertigo was so great she'd fall out of her chair.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and if she's gonna like if she was gonna walk from me to you, she would do like whoa to get to get. They couldn't walk in a straight line. During that class, within a couple days, she was able to she was able to sit anywhere in the room. And then at the end of the class, I saw somebody running across a yard. And I was like, who is that? And it was her running in a straight line for the first time in 13 years. She had had a motorcycle wreck where it really, scrambled her brain. And she doesn't know what else. We had a lot of other things.
That's
It's
amazing.
I mean, one of the cool things too is the person will make a shift and then they go home. Like we had a lady who was she was on uh, mood stabilizers and some of those drugs, and she cleaned up to come into class. She does a class, goes back home, and her kids were all on ADD meds, and liked them, because they helped them focus. And she goes back home and she goes, "Hey, Mom, we don't need this stuff anymore. You're wasting your money. We can handle this ourselves." So as she started to step into her own power, so did her kids. So
Oh my
it's
gosh.
so it's not just what with the attendee experience, it ripples through your whole family.
Nice.
The sins of the parents will be visited upon the children for 4 generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you can take those sins and reverse them to the blessings, guess what? The blessings are bestowed 4 generations back and 4 generations forward.
Yep. That is so good.
So you're changing that genetic pattern,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what BE does. And I can show you pictures of people's eyes and how much their eyes change. It's amazing. And
Yeah.
most iridology, the eyes are more of a static state. And in our classes, um, the fiber patterns change, the size of the iris change, the shape of the pupil changes. All that stuff is malleable. The eyes are just a reflection of the thoughts, words, and feelings. The eyes are the windows to the soul. It's so accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
we just
good.
have a way of reading it. And as far as I can tell, over 15 years is 100% accurate.
So in order for someone to prepare for that, they would have to physically go to a place that has the camera that can do
And we
the eyes,
no,
right?
we do it the first day of class.
Oh, okay. So that's not part of the prep that
We do it the
they
first day of the class,
oh, okay.
and the fourth, and then last day of the class. And
Oh, okay.
there's changes in 4 days.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I don't know too much about that iridology, but I have seen some of the pictures and I've looked at the charts about which part of your eye is which organ and on all of that stuff, but I haven't studied it or I've never had it done or anything, so
You know,
that's fascinating to me.
and heart is about love, left eye is about receiving, right eye is about giving. So you can see if are they able to receive and give love equally. You heard about being in the flow of life,
Mm-hmm.
like really being in the flow. So when a person is in the flow of life, their left and right eyes look similar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it talks about your eyes being singular in scriptures. It also says if you see a twig in your neighbor's eye, take the longer beam out of your own.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we look at all of our coaches are trained not to see what's wrong with the person, but to see what's returning, what strength, what latent strength, what is this particular pattern? What's the reversal to it? And so we only see the reversal and focus on the reversal instead of badgering somebody about what's wrong.
That's good.
We can find plenty of things to complain about.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Yeah. Most of us have been spending our creative juices on how creative we can get about things to complain about. Hilarious.
Oh yeah. But that's the way we're trained and that's the way we're programmed and conditioned. Not it's totally not right. And thank goodness for people like you who are training us to look at the positive or look at the choose what we do want to see rather than talking about what we don't want to see.
Choose what we love. Just
Yeah,
choose what we love.
choose what we love. Love that. Yeah, that's so good. Oh my gosh, this has been so good. And so tell people more about the next time Body Electronics is coming around.
Yep.
If you're listening to this as it's airing, if you listening to this in the future, always go to encompasslife.com to get the next
Yes.
iteration of when this comes.
Yeah. We're right now we have a date scheduled of April 10th through the 14th in St. Simons Island, Georgia. We're also going to have a date. I choose no. We're getting it finalized now. We're going to be in West Virginia as well, and that's going to be in the Charlestown area of West Virginia. It's beautiful Shenandoah Valley.
Oh yeah, I just
Mhm.
drove through there. No, it's beautiful.
so pretty. But we're looking at the summer there, and then we may be doing another one in Houston as well.
I have a question, something just that I just had a thought. If a person has a group already, like an organization or a group already, would you guys come to them to
Yes, ma'am.
put it on if there's a certain number? And what would that number be that would make it worth your while?
Depends where they are, right? And
Yeah.
we've had people who ask us to come overseas and do things, but that's a little bit different deal. But to have people come for us to go somewhere, probably looking around 24 to 26 people.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good number to serve everyone,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
is that the
Yeah, the
basis?
biggest one, I mean, I've done them up to 36, 38
Mm-hmm.
people. And sometimes when we start getting larger classes, we're going to take it to 5 full days instead of 4.5 days, and
Ah, got
be
it.
super easy. So we just add another half a day to it.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And
Well, oh, go ahead.
yep, and it's it's pretty easy. Like, the coaching really makes things easy. We do a lot of support on the front end and back end.
Mhm.
Personally, I love fast, fun, and easy.
Absolutely.
And I believe if it's really about children can get in, about it being like a child to get into a kingdom of heaven, then I believe we can laugh or play, just laugh and play and come down here and really, really enjoy life, which is what our Creator, I believe, really asked, is built us for. Come down and really enjoy life, man. Got a
Absolutely.
beautiful amusement point. Whatever you focus on, you get. Just have fun with your gift of co-creation. Really get that down. Start to find, if you create something you hate, wow, man, did I screw up big? You bring enthusiasm to your screw ups.
Yep. I have so much room for improvement.
Me
That's
too.
awesome.
Me too. That's when things started shifting. I went, oh my gosh, if I'm this good at creating crap, I must be great at creating beauty, because, oh my God, did I just create a bunch of
Yeah.
a bunch of stinkies in my life, man.
Oh, I think we all have. I know. I raised my hand to that.
And just
All right.
getting into just being able to forgive yourself. And most people didn't know how to use the gift. We come down here and get 'em get all caught up in all this drama, man. Weighs you down.
Yeah, it's true. Very
Hmm.
good.
Cool.
Okay, so if in case you missed the first time, we did talk about the how to wow. We talked about the basics class. We talked about there's many classes and uh, resources that they have on encompasslife.com. So make sure that you get over there and at least, I mean, start with the basics, or
Yep.
just jump right in and go to how to from how to wow, or
Mhm.
the body electronics, or
Yeah, and
whatever.
we have a university. We train people to become coaches. So if you
Oh,
go, well,
that's
this sounds really, really interesting,
yeah,
and maybe I'd like to explore that, let us know. We have a year long, it's just, I think, about a year to go through our curriculum. It's a very robust curriculum, and it's also leadership development. We have a lot of business leaders coming in as well. A lot of
yeah,
doctors are taking our classes.
yeah.
Medical doctors, chiropractic, naturopaths.
Totally makes sense to me. Yep.
Yep.
I would love
Okay.
to take it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Soon.
Awesome.
Soon.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mark. This has just been another great conversation. I love having these chit chats with you and having you on the show and introducing what you do to our peeps, because I'm sure that people are just fascinated, as fascinated as I am with the process of it, and with the healing and all of the yay gods along the way of everything that he does. So
Mm.
that if is there any last thing that you want to shout out?
No, just I'm so grateful for being here. Thank you for having me on again, and
You're
so
welcome.
love playing with you. And one of these days we're gonna meet in person.
We are. We
Yep.
are. I'll be down to Jacksonville area, February, actually.
We'll be in Miami in February.
All right. Well, we'll see if we miss each other or catch each other.
Yeah, I think, yeah, we'll be in Miami either the third or fourth weekend in February.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll catch up.
Cool.
Definitely.
See you soon.
All right. All right, you guys. So until next time, stay spirit centered. Peace out.
Love you. Bye.
Hey there, SCB peeps. I want to give a huge shout out and deep appreciation and thanks to Candace Benton. She has become a super sponsor for the Spirit Centered Business Show. So I would appreciate you helping me in sending blessings and abundance back to her. Thank you so much, Candace, and you are well loved.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.